try again and see if me and 3 of my friends can give the same book 5 stars. If you haven't been following this collab, the playlist for our previous attempts are down below. Obviously, we have attempted twice. We have failed twice. Rainey from Rainey Blue Reads, Kelsey from Reads with Kelsey, and Leandra from Leandra the TBR Zero are all trying to find a book that we can all agree is a 5-star book. And even picking books for this challenge has been difficult, as I actually had to pick 2 different books. We ended up picking a book and swapping it because it immediately became clear that it would not be a 5-star for people in the group. So we pivoted, we went and moved on, and we tried a new book. So we are now starting the new book. And that is the Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. I'm sure I said that name wrong, but I do have the audiobook, so when I come back after listening, I will know the correct pronunciation of the author's name.
Britney has likely told you the whirlwind that was trying to figure out what our 3rd book should be that would be featured on her channel. We originally thought Winter's Orbit would work, and Britney definitely was leaning towards hoping I would gain a win from it because the books previously just haven't really worked for me. But alas, we ended up switching things up, and I can tell you that honestly, the group chat, when we discovered the Traveling Cat Chronicles was a possibility, was hyped. All 4 of us were super excited because we realized that this book features elements that all 4 of us could appreciate, and we were thinking, okay. Could we possibly all give this book 5 stars?
Really though, I don't think we'll all give it a 5-star. I do think we'll all give it a 4, which is an improvement, honestly, because if we keep getting better and better at it, that shows that we've improved a lot.
And I think this is going to work for, I'm going to say 3 out of 4 of us. I would love to say all 4 of us, but I'm a little nervous about Rainey with this book.
When Britney suggested this as our book, or actually no, I think it was, yeah, is this Britney's book? Yes. When Britney suggested this as our book, I immediately said, sure, I own this. I should probably read this to see if it's for me or not.
And this is a book that has been on Rainey's TBR a few times. She's been meaning to read it, and we thought that it could really work for her too.
Britney had a great idea with this pick. Rather than picking a thriller or fantasy or something like that, she kind of went more so what have we liked? We've all liked a translated fiction. Do we like books about cats? Yes, we do. So let's go with it.
Now, who do I think would enjoy this? I think Britney could really enjoy this.
I think I am going to like this because I do think this is going to pull at my heartstrings.
I think Leandra could enjoy this because she's obsessed with cat stuff. But I don't know if she will enjoy this.
Leandra loves a book about a cat. If you have watched Leandra the TBR Zero's channel, you will know that cat manga is often read over there and enjoyed and loved and gushed about.
We thought this would really work for myself because it's about cats. Also, it's a Japanese translation, and that has worked really well for me in the past. Britney likes translations as well.
I think that Kelsey will probably enjoy this the most out of all of us because she's just a lit, ficky, translated work. That just feels like a Kelsey book, you know? I just feel like this could really work for her.
It does lean a bit literary fic, poignant contemporary fiction, which is, of course, in Kelsey's wheelhouse.
And Kelsey reads a lot of literary fiction, and I do think this probably falls into a literary fiction category.
I don't really think anyone is going to be totally hate it. I think we're all going to at least give it a 4. That is my prediction. Fingers crossed we get a 5, but we'll see what happens.
Did that prediction come to fruition? I'm remaining mum because that's Britney's job to let you know how we all did. What I need to do now is simply start the book, and I'll update you all when I have things to say.
It's literally 8 minutes later. 8 minutes later. I'm 8% in. And that is as far as this journey will be going for Rainey. I have DNF'd the Cat Chronicles. Oh, yes I have. Why? Why, you ask? Okay, well, it started off okay enough, okay? It started off with the cat.
It's exactly what I expected it to be. It was a man and his cat and following their story.
And I wasn't sure what to expect, honestly, when it was a book that followed a cat, a traveling cat. I was like, okay, it's gonna be a cat that's kind of on the streets and going around.
We start off seeing our cat who becomes Nana, but at the time is a stray cat living on the street, but finding that someone in this apartment building will feed him, and they kind of have a bond. And eventually the man takes in this stray cat.
But unfortunately, a little bit later, Satoru has to give him away because he lost his job, and I guess he can't afford the cat anymore. So he's kind of trying to find a different owner for him and reaches out to a childhood friend named Kosuke and reconnects with him. And it kind of takes us back from now back to then. And we get some backstory on the main character and his experiences
of time beforehand when he was with his other cat. And then I just learned very quickly on that this is not going to be a story from the perspective of a cat. This is just going to be a bunch of flashbacks of this man in different parts of his life that have brought him to where he is today with his cat right now.
And we do get perspectives from the cat, which are my favorite part of the book.
And he's just like a humorous cat, and I love it on audio, honestly, because you can kind of hear like emotion behind the cat. And I feel like if a cat talked, this is exactly how it would sound. Very sassy and just direct.
Because obviously cats, they sometimes have a little bit of attitude, and this is a black cat. So it has a little bit of attitude, and I love it. I'm living for the cat's perspective. Every time we're with the cat, I am here and enjoying.
I've only read one other Japanese translated work, and it was that cafe one, like Before the Coffee Gets Cold. And I feel the same thing happening with this. It is so beyond repetitive. Like that one was just, there's 3 rules to time traveling in this little coffee shop cafe, and every story does the same thing. It explains it the same way, like the same-ish sort of events happen. It was like I was rereading the same book or like the same scene 5 different times within each chapter of that book, and I just could not stand it. It was so repetitive. And this is also extremely repetitive. And I'm not saying that that's what all Japanese translated works do, but the 2 that I have read have been so beyond extremely repetitive that I'm just bored out of my mind. And I don't foresee this getting any better. I don't foresee me caring, especially because I know how this is going to end, and I just don't want to read that sort of ending. So unfortunately, this is where my journey ends. At 8% I tried to go further. I'm lying. I did not try to go further. I know that this is going to be hell for Britney to edit.
Don't worry, Rainey. I've got you.
And I'm really trying hard to DNF this year, guys. I am trying my darndest, and I've already DNF'd over 10 books, which is way more than I DNF'd last year. We are doing the dang deed. We are out here in these streets DNFing left and right if it doesn't strike whimsy to our soul.
Rainey, come here. A little bit closer. Come here. Come here. We all support a DNF.
I'm very genuinely interested in seeing who actually finishes this book in our friend group. But alas, it won't be me. So the video must continue on without me.
I am 25% of the way through the Traveling Cat Chronicles. Here is my first and last update. I have decided to DNF this book. Honestly, I don't feel that badly about it, mainly because I already know that Rainey DNF'd this, barely giving it a chance. And so, you know, I entered with the expectation that this might not be a book for me either, even though Rainey and I have very different views. But what I will say is that my reasons for DNFing are likely kind of different for Rainey, because I did enjoy the narrative. I thought that it was fine. I just wasn't that impressed with how predictable the book was, and I'm not interested in what I'm predicting, if that makes sense.
Predictable, repetitive, tomato.
And in the first chapter regarding their travels, at least, I think I probably ended up reading maybe 2 chapters, or maybe it was 1 big chapter. I actually can't remember because the chapters are also humongous, but I digress. We end up meeting Kosuke, who is an old family friend / schoolmate, a neighbor that grew up with Satoru. They remember finding another stray cat named Hachi and kind of not fighting over him, but there was this fissure in their relationship for a brief time, not knowing who should own this cat. Eventually, Satoru is the one who owns him, but anyways, back to the main present timeline. Satoru is going from person to person, I'm imagining. The first person he starts with is Kosuke, and Kosuke is willing to take the cat for bad reasons. It's not because he actually cares for the cat, wants to give Nana a good home. Instead, he's going through his own turbulent life conflicts, including not a divorce, but a separation from his wife, and his business is struggling as well, and he thinks, oh, if I take this cat, then that'll lure my wife back to me. Yeah, no Kosuke, that is not good. On top of the fact that he thinks, even better, I'll pretend I don't know how to take care of this cat. And I'm like, this is the perfect example of manipulative incompetence. I can't remember the full term for it, but there's the example of, especially in a heterosexual relationship, where the man pretends to not know how to do anything. Can't do dishes, can't go to the grocery store without supervision, all of these things. And so he has his wife basically do everything for him because he doesn't know how to do it. Weaponized. That's what it is. It's weaponized incompetence. Oh, I feel so good knowing that, but also it's so frustrating that that exists. It also very much reminds me of, what is it, a Mitch Albom book called The 5 People You Meet in Heaven, and I'm just like, I've read this before. It's also very Forrest Gump. And while the cat's perspective is super fresh, really entertaining, hilarious, I just feel as though we're plodding along for a very fine, run-of-the-mill 3-star read, and I just don't really have the time for that. I don't have the interest for it. Honestly, I feel like this is the year for DNFing. I've DNF'd so many books. I think I might be in the 20s at this point, and it is only May. So yeah, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to DNF this, on top of the fact that I am not interested in having a good person experience bad things throughout a narrative structure, because we also know that Satoru has lost his parents in a tragic car accident. There are so many car accidents apparently in Japan, according to this author, because they mentioned 3 and I've mentioned 2 within this very brief update. And I don't need to see that. I don't need to see a good person experience trial after trial after trial, because I don't want to. I'm not interested in that type of narrative style. I don't really need that kind of sensationalized pain in a different way, but I still think it kind of goes in that same wheelhouse. So sorry, friends. I'm DNFing this, but like I said, I already knew Rainey did. So if anything, it's not my fault. So
it is about 4 days later, which, considering how small this book is, that's a long time between reading the first third and reading the second third. And actually, I'm not even through the second third. I'm at 50% because I'm going to DNF this. And I just was not interested in picking it up. The book was not calling to me. Every time I thought about it, I was like, okay, I guess I'll read some more of this. And that just shows my lack of interest in this book.
And not much has happened, honestly. He's just kind of traveling around with the cat, hence now I get the title.
So tonight on Sprints, I was like, you know what? Okay, we're going to get through this. We're going to read the book. We're going to do the things. We're going to read the cat book. Well, I didn't get very far. I got another about 40 pages through, and I've decided again to DNF this book. And I really had to sit here and go, what of this is not working for me? Why am I hesitant to pick it up? Why am I not interested while I'm reading it? Like, what is the problem here? What is not working for me? And I think I've figured it out. So in this book, we follow, obviously, Satoru and his cat. And I was really liking the current timeline. And I was really liking when we were in the cat's perspective. However, that is only about, I'm going to say 15% of this entire narrative. This book is mostly in past timelines. So the cat and Satoru travel to a friend's house and they meet the friend. And this is a friend that Satoru knows from high school. And we have a flashback scene of how they knew each other, what kind of happened over the course of their friendship as teenagers, and kind of just how they became friends, and maybe some major life occurrences that happened during their formative years together as friends. Then we come back to the current timeline. We get the cat's kind of 1 to 2 cents about this whole thing. And then we go to another friend and we do the exact same thing. Flashback scene to like high school age. And we keep going, flashback, going, flashback. I'm in the 3rd flashback at this point. Actually, I read the first paragraph of the 3rd flashback with the 3rd friend. And I was waiting for that to happen. I was like, let's see if we keep flashing back, because I think that's the part that I'm not interested in. I don't care about that timeline. What I wanted this book to be is not what it is, which is not a problem with the book, which is why I'm DNFing it. Because what I wanted it to be was the travels of a man with his cat. I don't care about what happened in high school to the man and his friends. The cat isn't in that timeline because obviously the cat is in the current one 20 years, in the future, and the cat has no part in that. And it is very obvious where this book is going. It's extremely, extremely obvious what the ending and the outcome of this book is. So I don't feel any need to actually read it knowing exactly what we're barreling toward. And I don't think I'm going to have the emotional impact of that because I'm not very invested. So I'm going to put it down, but let's see how everybody else is going because, you know, they're still reading the book.
Nope, did not.
No, I'm not either.
And I really hope I'm not the only one who doesn't give this 5-star. Like, I hope I didn't pick it and then I'm the only one who doesn't give it a 5-star.
I am done and I have some thoughts that I want to share. So there are a lot of things that happen throughout this 66 to 100%, like a lot. And it was quite emotional. I didn't cry. It wasn't that emotional for me. I'm not typically a crier during books, except Kristen Hannah. She always gets me. But I didn't cry, but it was just like very emotional and very sad actually, where things kind of took a turn, I guess, and where things went. Some might kind of not think that, but in my mind, I kind of feel like it was more emotional than I expected. And I really grew to love their relationship, Nana and his owner, Satoru. I really liked how they grew to like really trust and love each other. And it was just such a cute friendship. With that being said, I have some cons. I do wish that it was more about the cat.
We all wanted more cat.
That's what I kind of expected going into it, that it was going to be about the traveling cat and more the cat's point of view throughout the whole way through. I loved getting the cat's point of view and like hearing their sassy thoughts and stuff like that. And I felt like that kind of like stopped happening as much. And I just feel like I wish that it was more focused on the cat rather than the human and the cat and a lot of the human. It's just not exactly what I expected. So I am landing on a 4, which means we're doing it again anyway. The next book is Anxious People by Frederick Bachman, which is my pick, and I'm hopeful for it. So we'll see what happens.
So here I am at the end of this 5-star experience and the one that somewhat crashed and burned. I just finished editing this and wanted to come and just kind of put a little bow on the end of this video and say thank you for watching. I have a question though for you all because I had to pick a second book because Kelsey is the one who DNF'd the first before we had a chance to read this because Kelsey was reading it before going away on vacation. So once Kelsey DNF'd the first book, we all were like, well, there's no point in continuing, and we pivoted and picked this book. And I'm kind of wondering if you all think that one might have done better than this one because obviously Kelsey finished this one, but none of us did other than Kelsey. So do you think that Winter's Orbit would have been a better book for Leandra, Rainey, and I? I think Leandra and me, probably. But Rainey, I would love to hear your thoughts because in a lot of my reasoning in picking this was that this was a sci-fi romance. And I feel like sci-fi romance could bring Rainey in with like the romantasy vibe that they're like akin to romantasy. Obviously it's not the same, but it's like a cousin of romantasy. And I would be interested to hear your thoughts on that down below. Thank you so much for watching. The next book, as Kelsey said, is going to be Frederick Bachman's Anxious People. I love Frederick Bachman, so I'm very excited that Kelsey picked this book. And I do think it will work better for me than Traveling Cat. So thank you, Kelsey, for picking that book. We shall see if all 4 of us can give it 5 stars. I don't know. Let me know if you think Anxious People will be better, and also let me know what you think of the book change for this one. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video but have nothing to say to us down in the comments but want to just let me know that you were here, leave a cat emoji because come on, it has to be the cat. Really, our main critique of this book was that we all wanted more of the cat. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.